this video, I want to show you how to use the offset from a label address in the metal assembly language editor. So first thing I'm going to do, let's load up hello. This is a program that I wrote earlier in this series, so it's still on disk, and we'll run it. And here we have our lovely little Hello World program. Now here we can see that PRST, it starts just 6 bytes after point. So suppose we didn't want to have a label at PRST. Let's delete this label. Let's say PRST was only ever called once, and so we don't really need that label. We're running out of labels, for instance, big program, whatever. We want to get rid of PRST, but at that one time that it was called, well, you know, if we leave it like this, right now, if I start inserting and deleting, it'll always point to 082C instead of 6 bytes after the start of point. So what I'm going to do here is, instead of entering an address or a label name, I'm going to enter plus. We know it starts 6 bytes after point. So now it still points to the same address in memory. And if we execute hello, you can see it still does the typical hello world thing. But now, if I insert, say, 5 bytes, go back down to here, and plus 6 comma point, well, that is now pointing to the new location of where PRST was. And if I go here and insert, say, 3 bytes, it's still pointing to plus 6 comma point. Which is still, of course, at 0831. So that doesn't mind, because that's still, it inserted where we said, you know, we wanted to add, you know, if we wanted to add a new function call or something like that, that would be fine. Now, if we go up here and insert 2 bytes, look down here, now it's plus 8 comma point, which is still our print string at, well, it's still this value here at 0833. If we delete 3 bytes here, it's still at plus 8 comma point. So it's keyed to that, and if you insert and delete at that address, it'll still be keyed to that. But if you insert and delete before that address, 02, now it's back to plus 6 comma point. So it still keeps on pointing to the start of whatever subroutine. So you insert there. If we insert it here, it's still pointing to there, because it knows that that address, it hasn't changed. It's only when we insert between point and the start of that address that it will adjust the value that it's adding. So 1 byte here, now it's 7, still 7, still 7, and that's fine. Now let's say I decided I still wanted to have PRST. I decide I'm going to be calling it more often than once. So we'll set the label PRST. It's still pointing at plus 6 comma point. It doesn't know that there is a new label at that address, and it's not going to be checking through all of the addresses to see if that's the case. If I had thought of it, it probably would, but if you ever do want to change that back, you actually have to go to any address that has that and So there you go. Anyway, that's how you use the offset from an address. Now you can use it like I just did there for uh, uh, referencing a piece of code without using a label directly for that code, but referencing to an earlier label. You can also use it to point to a specific value within a string. So we can see that in narf, the let's say the second character of narf is an H. So if I was to do something like LDAA plus 01, which is the second character, 00 is the first character of narf, and let's just return. Let's call this here goop. So if we exec goop, you can see that the accumulator value is 48, which is the Petsky value for H. And we can just go into character mode, hitting F5, and we can see that that is indeed a 48. So you can, it can be used as the equivalent of the mid function for a string. You can use that offset value. Oops, I just changed that by hitting escape. H F1. Okay. So you can use that offset value. There's space for 1280 offset values like this. If I go free right now, you can see that the offset near the bottom there, there's 3 used. There's 2 used by the editor in Golden Ram and the one that I just added. So that's how you use offsets in the Metal Assembly Language Editor.